First of all, Shalom Aleichem. It's a great honor and great schus to be giving a share to you, to share some thoughts of the Torah in the days of Bein HaMeitzarim. Today, we will discuss about the mitzvahs Esser of Binyan Beis HaMikdash, Bahalacha, Ube'agodah. Before we begin the share, I would like to say that this share is devoted also to the great disaster in Florida for those who were buried and are still buried under the debris of the collapsed Bnei. This great tragedy, we say with the greatest pain, is part of the Chorban Beis HaMikdash. This comes to remind us that we are still in Golus, and we need to worry not only for ourselves, but for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for the Beis HaMikdash, for the Golus HaShechina, and we hope that the learning Torah will be a great help for those who are not yet found should be found. Alavai alive, but leaders should be brought to Kever Yisrael. We are now in the days of Bein HaMeitzarim, between Shiva Asar B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av. The halacha is in Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim, Siman Aleph Siv Gimel, Roi L'chol Yerei Shomayim, Liyais Meitzer V'Doyait Al Chorban Beis HaMikdash. Every Yerei Shomayim needs to feel the pain and worry for the great Chorban, but we still did not have the schus to get back the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, וגואלה ועשייה. And if all year we have to worry, Meitzer v'Doyait, Al Chorban Beis HaMikdash, Al Achas Kama v'Kamu, in these days of Bein HaMeitzarim, that we need to do it. How important it is, we can learn from the Gemara in Tanas Daf Lamed Amud Beis. The Gemara says, Kol HaMis'abel al Yerushalayim, Zoiche v'roye b'simchosoi. Whoever mourns, grieves on Yerushalayim, on the Chorban Beis HaMikdash, on Chorban Yerushalayim, Zoiche v'roye b'simchosoi. He's zoiche to see in Simchas Yerushalayim. V'kol mi she'enoi mis'abel, the Gemara repeats at night kofel. V'chol mi she'enoi mis'abel al Yerushalayim, chaz v'chalila, how holy, how heilig are the words of the Kedushas Levi, who explains what's the pshat zoiche v'roye, a lotion from present. Doesn't say yiske liris b'simchosa. Zoiche v'roye b'simchosa. Whoever is misabel Yerushalayim, we feel the pain of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We hear the cry of the Shechina HaKadosh that mourns and cries, Menahemes Kiyoyne, cries like a dove. Oy loy la'av sheheglas bonav, woe to the father that chased away from his children being Golas. Zoiche, not only Yiske when Mashiach will come, Zoiche in this world, Zoiche v'roye b'simchosoi, he will be able to have a taste from the Geula Asida for Simchas Yerushalayim. And I think that the great Hasogas from Limud HaTorah, in Lomdus HaTorah, in all Chelkei HaTorah, that we see nowadays all over the world, Balabatim, Rosh Hashivas, and Poshet Yidden, this is a chelik for Zoiche v'roye b'simchosoi, that we're able to have a taste from the Geulah Asida Moira Baraboisai. So, as we mentioned, we're going to talk about the mitzvah of a Binyan Beis HaMikdash. We know the pasuk of Parshas Trima. Who doesn't remember the pasuk when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu to build a mishkan? The Torah says in Parshas Truma, "Va'osu li migdash v'shechamti b'soichem." You should make a migdash. Don't say mishkan. It says migdash. V'shechamti b'soichem, so I can rest among Yiddish kinder in the Beis HaMikdash. The Rambam says in Hilchos Beis HaBchira, Perik Aleph, Halacha Aleph, mitzvahs esse lasois bayis muchan lies makriven boy hakorbonos v'choigigen eilov sholosh ba'omim bashono shenemar v'osu li migdosh. I think it's very, very clear that the Rambam doesn't talk only about the Mishkan. The Rambam mentions the mitzvah that's Ledoiris. Also, the Chogigen Eilet Sholosh Pomam Bashono. That's an Eretz Yisrael. Sholosh Pomam Yaru calls the Churcha, not the Mishkan. So we learn from the Rambam, Amoyre di Kazach, at the mitzvahs Esef in Binyan Beis HaMikdash. We learn that from the same pasuk that says by the Mishkan, but also the Mikdash, and therefore the Rambam adds ukvad nisparash b'toyre Mishkan she'oso Moshe Rabbeinu v'hoyu lefisho. That was only for that time in the midbar. And but the mitzvah is v'osu li Mikdash even when you get into Eretz Yisrael. And so says the Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvahs. Mitzvahs Esekov, Shetzivonu livnois beis HaBechira, Vehu omro yis'ala ve'osu li migdosh. So we can ask a question, we know the Sugya Masechta Sukkah, the Mishnah of the Masechta Sukkah, Dav Memalav Amad Aleph. His Rabbi Yochanan Bezaka, one of the Tona that Rabbi Yochanan Bezaka of Besaken Gevein, Yoim Hanaf Kuloi Oser. What's Yoim Hanaf? Yoim Hanaf is the day that you bring the Omer, you makar the Omer. When the Beis HaMikdash was Kayim, it says, Memachras HaShabbos, the next day, for the first day of Pesach, which is, the first day of Pesach is Chamisha also Benisan. Shisha also Benisan, the second day of Pesach. You have to bring the Omer, the Kraftem Omer, the Makrav Zana Omer for Neibishten, and only after Mizmakriv the Omer, then you're allowed to eat from the Mincha, from the Nut Tavua, from the Chodosh. Before that, it's too many Shes in the Tavua. What happens when we don't have a Beis HaMikdash? Like now, Babani say no Rabba. And we can be Makriv the Omer. So the Locha says, Heira Shachar, the minute, Heira Mizrach, the minute that it comes morning, and you can't bring the Omer, but there's no Beis HaMikdash, you're allowed to eat from the Chodesh, from the Nut to the year. So the Gemara says, came Rabbi Yochanan and said, all the Alpi Torah, Yoim Hanaf, the day that we're supposed to bring the Omer and we can't, because it's after Chorban Beis HaMikdash. You're allowed to eat the Nut Tavua Chodesh already in the morning, but Rabbi Yochanan Mesakme Yoim Hanaf Koloi Osor, all day long we cannot eat from the Nut Tavua until the next day, until at night. So the Gemara says, why? We have over here the Gemara, my timer, why? It says, Mehere, you want to Beis HaMikdash. Maybe the Beis HaMikdash will be built very soon, very close to Yom Hanaf, very close to the second day of Pesach. The Yomri, and people are going to say, Ishtaked last year, Milo Yechalnu Be'eremet, we ate already for the Nut in the morning. Hashtonama Neichel. So we're going to eat today also. And they won't know. They ishtake, they have a Beis HaMikdash. Last year that we didn't have a Beis HaMikdash. Hey, in Mizrach, Hitir. The minute there was morning, we're allowed to eat. Hashto de Ike Beis HaMikdash. Oimer Matu, we have to wait until your Matu the Oimer. So the Gemara says, the Ibn Amos, when is the Gzera that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be built, and we're going to have a mistake? So it can't be Shitzer because I had a Mizrach. So, and B'chameisa, the Gemara, we don't go to all the people, but the Gemara says that the Chashash is Loi Tzricha. We're showing the Gemara Loi Tzricha, the Ibn Balayla. We are choishes that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be built. Yoin, the first day Pesach, Matzah Pesach Balayla. Inam Somach L'Shkiya Sachama. Going to be very close to Shkiya Sachama. And the people are going to be toya, they're going to think that you're allowed to eat in the morning and you can't eat till you bring the oil. So Rashi, over here we see Rashi and Tosfos are asking the question. Rashi asks, the Gemara of the Masech the Shviyas, as ein Bein Binyan Beis HaMikdash Balaylo, Yitzivah V'yoim, Heikim, and not Balayla. The loy b'chameitzer, it can be built in the 15th day in Nisan because it's Yom Tov. And we the Kaimalon and the Locha is ein binyan Beis HaMikdash doicha Yom Tov. So how could you say that we have a chash that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be built the first day of Pesach? If it's going to be built a few days before, the Beis are going to come and they're going to be machris. Only if it's built mamish close to Yom Hanaf, there is the chash that people are going to have a mistake. And Fetrashe and Tosfos says the same thing. Only a binyan Beis HaMikdash that's built by people. Then the halacha is that ein binyan Beis HaMikdash doicha Yom Tov, ein binyan Beis HaMikdash balayla. Aval Mikdash ha'osi. Sha'on u'metzapen, the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi that we're waiting so anxiously. Bonu imushuchlel hu yigala v'yivam hashamayim. It will come down a finished building. Sheneimer, Moshe Rabbeinu mentioned that in the Shira. Tavayenu, bring me already. Migdash Hashem koinu liyodecha. We want to be in the third Beis HaMikdash that Ribono Shel Olam, that you with your own hands created and built. So we learned that the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi is going to be built by a Kadosh Baruch Hu, finished product. So the kasha is Sidachdu HaMitzvahs Esef in Binyan Beis HaMikdash Ve'osu li Mikdash V'shechante B'soicham. So if the third Beis HaMikdash will come down, Bonu u'meshuchlel, a finished bin Beis HaMikdash, how will we be mekayim the mitzvahs eseh of Binyan Beis HaMikdash? That's the subject from our share that we want to discuss. So we have a Rogat Shavar that we want to begin with, a Lamdish Rogat Shavar, and the derech on the Rogat Shavar that he says very, very short, and we have to fill in the puzzle, all the amkis. So we're going to discuss part of the Rogat Shavar's words and explain, and there's a lot to be mafalpe, which we won't be able to finish in one shear, but at least we'll give a taste of the Rogat Shavar. So before we learn the Rogat Shavar inside, we will mention the Rambam, which on this Rambam, the Rogat Shavar is Mafarish dem Rambam. The Rambam says, Hoyu lefonov asiyas mitzvah v'talmud Torah. Hilchos Talmud Torah perigim aloch adalet. He was learning. You have a share. We're learning Torah. And up comes a mitzvah that you need to help somebody, a chesed with an elderly yid. You need to do a mitzvah. The question is, should you stop learning? Learning is also a mitzvah. To be behind the mitzvah, or should you say, I'm learning, mitzvah. So the Rambam, im efshel mitzvah, lehai also sal yedei acheirim. If the mitzvah is able to be done through others, lo yafsik talmido, then he shouldn't stop. Shouldn't stop learning. Why? Because the mitzvah can be done through other people. The imlav, the mitzvah, only he is the mumche to be makan the mitzvah. Yase HaMeitzarim, then he should leave the learning and do the mitzvah, and then the yachzer letalmudoi should go back to learn. This is the Rambam. The kitzer, it depends whether he's able to do the mitzvah through others or not. Tim the Ragachava, let's go back to the Ragachava, see the words of the Ragachava. Tim the Ragachava and explains that it's true that the Rambam mentioned that the Hagdorah is whether the mitzvah can be done through others or not. So the Ragachava, Ayin Hoyle Fonam Imefshe, Ayin B'Moed Koten Daf Tes. That's it. You have to look it up. What does the Gemara say over there? The Gemara says over there is the source of the Rambam, mitzvah she'efshar al yedei achayrim, mitzvah she'efshar al yedei achayrim, or it can be done through others. Zog der Ragachover ach eina perish kein. This is not the shoyrish of the minion. This is only a in the litter. It's not a sibbe, it's a simon. What's it the sibbe? What's the longest? Rak. Hahagdore the nafkemine ima mitzvehi hu asiu oya mitzveh sheyase. Ima mitzveh hu asiu oya mitzveh ima mitzveh hu asiu. There's a missing a word of it. Oya mitzveh sheyase oy sheyeh. In other words, the chakira is if the mitzvah is that it should be done, you should do the pe'ula from the mitzvah is part of the mitzvah, or the mitzvah is that it should be done. You don't have to do it. In other words, I'll repeat, whether the ma'aseh ha-mitzvah is part of the mitzvah, or it's only a hechsher mitzvah, but the mitzvah is you should have it. Another, we'll give a good example. Give it a good example. The mitzvah for Asiyah Sikkah. To what's the mitzvah in Sikkah? Basikkah Taish V'Shivas Yomam. We should sit in the Sikkah. The Asiyah Sikkah is only a hechsher mitzvah. In order to be Makayim, to sit in the mitzvah in the Sikkah, I have to build a Sikkah. So the Asiyah Sikkah is not the mitzvah, it's just a hechsher mitzvah. Says the Rabbi Chover, Adusa de Pshat Rambam. If the mitzvah is being able to do through others, is a siman as the Pa'ulas HaMeitzarim mitzvah is only a hechsher mitzvah. If it's only a hechsher mitzvah, then why learning let the mitzvah be done through others? Because the ma'aseh mitzvah is only a hechsher preparation for the mitzvah. If the mitzvah is not, it should be done, but you should do it. We can bring a good example. The mitzvah for Anochas Tfil, but the mitzvah is not yet, over there is also the afikir. I'm getting into a new. We won't get into it. But Tfil is of the afikir. Whether the Anochas Tfil, but let's assume the mitzvah is the Hanochas Tfil. Over there, it can't be done through others. I can't put on film through other people. It's a mitzvah shebegufoy. We know the tzois, we know the bakante toisus rid. So says the Rogachover, this is the chilik mitzvah she'efshar lasos al yedei achayrim. That's a proof that the Maisa mitzvah is only a hechsher mitzvah, or the mitzvah is that it should be done. So if you need to gemilish chasodim, it doesn't have to be. If I do it through a shliach, it's also good. Therefore, if I'm learning, I can keep on learning, and the mitzvah should be done through others. Bring the Rogachover weiter. Another example. Ein Yevomas daf samach gimel amad beis gabe pru irvu. Then Azai didn't want to marry. He says, "Efshel le'osas ha'yedei achayrim." Explains what's the pshat. Because Ben Azai gehalten as pru irvu. Ben Azai, a pru irvu is only a hechsher mitzvah that the world should be full with the Eloi Toya Ber Shem Zitzoro. But the world should be with Yiddish kinder that learn and daven, and that could be done through others. So therefore, he said that if I'm learning and nafshi choshke b'toyre, then I'm not stopping to learn to be mekayim prurvu, because according to my opinion, prurvu can be done through others. Let's get back to the Rogachover. So this is one part. Now, let's get back to the Rogachover. To the Rogachover Vater. Ein, v'zei talye gabel samigdash. Here we're coming to the Besamigdash. V'zei talye gabel Besamigdash. Ima mitzvah hi a binyan. To the plume. Short, but so sharp. Whether the mitzvah is to build the Besamigdash, or sheyiyeh, the mitzvah is that we should have that there should be a Besamigdash. The building is only a hechsher mitzvah. So brings the Rogachover ein b'divrei Rabbeinu, it's the Rambam. Hilchos beis habchira de kosef sham, the HaMitzvah hi lasos beis habchira. The Rogachover Madaika, interesting diet, that the mitzvah is lasos, that means that the building is part of the mitzvah. The loy noket livnois to my Sanhedrin. He doesn't say livnois like it says by the Besamigdash. So he wants to say that the pshat the thing is that it's only a hechsher mitzvah. The Gemara says that a hechsher mitzvah. The Gemara says that you can't learn from Binyan Besamigdash as in Ish Doiche Shabbos. The lava mitzvah here Binyan rak sheyiyeh. The mitzvah is not the building; it's the mitzvah should be a Besamigdash, and that's why you cannot learn from there that Esa is not Doiche Loisese. The Gemara asks a question. Let's learn from Binyan Besamigdash Eina Doiche Shabbos as Esa nish Doiche Loisese. So the Gemara says, no, it's a hechsher mitzvah. Explains the Rogachover, it's a hechsher mitzvah because the mitzvah is sheyiyeh, not the building. And he adds another raya mitzvah goines. Ule kach kaimalon me ule yudalet. The Bein bechoil, when he's building the Besamigdash, he uses money that chulin, not kodesh. After he finished building, adding to the Besamigdash, Makdishim is Makdish the building. Why? Because the binyan itself can be bechol. So the building itself is only a hechsher mitzvah. Here, the Rogachover adds, mamish a bombe. V'zeh nafkemin bein mishkan lemikdash. This is the difference to the mitzvahs eser from Mishkan to the mitzvah from Binyan HaMikdash. The Mishkan have a HaMitzvah Binyan. In the Mishkan, the builder, the Asiyas HaMishkan is a chelik from the mitzvah, not only a hechsher mitzvah. And that's why he says, V'osu l'mikdash, u'lekach doche achinuch shaloi Shabbos. And therefore, chinuch Mizbeach chinuch HaMishkan, v'doche Shabbos. V'yom hashvi'i nosi livnei Ephraim was makar v'Shabbos. Ayin moed kutem daftez vayim b'divrei Rabbeinu. Aval, we're continuing. Aval abinyan shel hamikdash horak kedei sheyeh. The binyan b'samikdash is only that it should be. Not the binyan is only a preparation. The mitzvah is you should have a Beis Hamikdash. Of course, you cannot have a Beis Hamikdash if you're not building it, so it's only an extra mitzvah. As I said, if we would learn the Rogacha, we need a few hours to go on. I just want to mention Asa Apel of a Hafle, and I'm sure we can find solution, but I'm just telling the Chochem just to be mayor. Asa bisschen schwer. Because we learned from the Rambam that the Rambam says in Hilchos Beis Abchire that the mitzvah, this is the Lucifer Rogacha in my edition, but it's okay. But we learned from the Rambam says that the mitzvah from Binyan Beis Hamikdash is from the same pasuk from also the Mikdash. This is over here. The Rambam doesn't talk over here in the Mishkan. In the Mishkan, there was no Chag Meilech Sholish Poma Bashona. The Mishkan was among between Klal Yisrael. Didn't have to go up to Yerushalayim. And the Rambam says, "Beferish mitzvahs es alas bayis l'Hashem muchalis v'chogigen elov Sholish Poma Bashona shenemar v'oser Mikdash." So how can the Rogachover say that there's a difference between Mishkan, that the Asiyas HaMishkan is part of the mitzvah from Binyan Beis Hamikdash, while the Binyan Beis Hamikdash is only a hechsher. We can find from the Rogachover that he is going with the smag. The smag mentions that the mitzvah's esef from Binyan HaMishkan is takev also the Mikdash. But the mitzvah's esef in Binyan Beis Hamikdash is v'ho yohamukam asher yivchar Hashem l'shaken shemoy sham. The place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to choose to rest His name, over there, over there you should bring all the karbanos. So according to the smag is gewaltig the chilik between the Mishkan and the Hamikdash. Because in the Mishkan it says v'osili Mikdash. The Asiyas HaMishkan is part of Binyan Beis Hamikdash. But the Binyan Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi, over there already, it doesn't say v'osu, it doesn't say v'bon, it says v'ho yohamokam asher yivchar Hashem l'shaken shemoy sham. The place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to choose l'shaken shemoy sham, and therefore the binyan is only extra mitzvah. Anyways, let's get to our subject. So we learned a shtikla Rogachover, which we can then devote Shlomo a few shirim to go over it and to explain every word, every maramokim. But if we go along with the Rogachover, it also is vereinfacht how we're going to be Mekayim the mitzvah for Binyan Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi. Why? Because it is the mitzvah. The mitzvah that we should have a Beis Hamikdash. And the minute that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring down a binyan, bonu imu shuchlel, we have a Beis Hamikdash, and that's enough. There isn't a mitzvah for binyan Beis Hamikdash. That's according to the Rogachover. But it's not so simple. There's a Tosfos in Shabbos that Kufla Medalef or Medalef. The Rogachover even mentions it. That says beferish that there's a mitzvah, that the Binyan Beis Hamikdash is a chelik, not only a hechsher mitzvah, it's a mitzvah itself. So the kasha comes back. How will we be mekayim the mitzvah for Binyan Beis Hamikdash? But here, Meirav Rabbeisai, Divrei Elokim Chaim, Kiluyim Nifloim for Reb Shielai Diskin, the Gaon, great Gaon Reb Shielai Diskin. Amazing chiddush that every yid should know and should be mesameach with Simchas HaTorah. It says is a mitzvah these days. Simchas HaTorah, Shalei Baruch the Chormas, Shalei Baruch b'Torah Tchila. The Simchas HaTorah was the Rogatchover said, the Frank de Kasha, the Maril Diskin. We're in the Maril Diskin, yeah. We moved on. Maril Diskin said it's brought down in the Siach Yitzchak and the Siddur Agro, a Muslim L'Sholosh Ragolim, on the Tfile V'har'einu Bevinyonoi V'samcheinu B'sikino. We're davening Rebbeinu Shalom. Show us in the binyan of Beis HaMikdash V'samcheinu. Make us happy B'tikino with the tikkun of the Beis HaMikdash. So there Maril Disk, and he asked the question, how will we be Mekayim the mitzvah says when we also limit the Shechanta B'Soichon? And it says, he says, we say in Eicho, Tovo Bo'oret Sheoreyo. The gates of the Beis HaMikdash sunk in the ground. Tovi Ba'oret Shoreyo. Zok Rashi brings down the Medrash Agode. Why? Because of his Shecholko Kovet La'oron. Because the Sha'orim gave Kovet for the Torah. Shenema Sa'u Sha'orim Reshechem Lefichach Lo Yisholto Behem Berye B'Tovo Ba'oret. Nobody, the Oivim couldn't touch it. Rashi brings down the Medrash. V'Rabbi Seinu Amru Ma Seyedei David Hoyu. David HaMelech did not have the schus to build the Beis HaMikdash. The Baruch told him. But he built the Sha'orim. And Ma Seyedei David Lo Yisholto Behem Ha'oivim. The Oivim that made core of the Beis HaMikdash couldn't touch the Sha'orim. Ma Seyedei David. And therefore they sunk in the ground. If the whole entire Beis HaMikdash was HaRav, what's such a great deal that the Sha'orim stayed and were not HaRav? What's the great benefit? The Gemara says in Bava Basra Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis. Zog the Gemara. Haboine Palteren Gedoylem Benechsei Hager. A ger died and left over a lot of Yerusha property, but he doesn't have Yorshim, so it's Hefker. Ibo Achar Vehem, and so somebody came and built a Palteren, a big palace. But he didn't yet put on the doors. So Ibo Achar came this friend, another one, not his friend, and put up doors for those Palteren. Kona, the one who put up the doors of Koine Gevein, all the palaces that belongs to him. So the Gemara says, my time, why? Because Livne Balmodap, the first one, was only playing around with the bricks, putting them, building them, playing with the Lego, building a building, until you don't close the doors, that people should not be able to come in. The building is not finished. The Trashe, the Kolzman, if he didn't put up the doors, Micah didn't do anything. The Tcheles Binyan ain't no Iker. The beginning of the building is nothing. Eilu Gemoroi, the finish, the Makaba Patish, Ukedetnan, Noel Vagodar, when he closes up the building, that's the finish of the building. Zokter Pshialei Bagaoines. Lo sid lo voyet acharuktim, and I finished Beis HaMikdash bono meshuflo. So we're gonna be happy, but we're gonna be very sad. How will we be Mekayim the mitzvah of having Beis HaMikdash? The teretz is that is the reason that tovo ba'oret she'oreyo, that the she'orim of the Beis HaMikdash that David HaMelech built was sunk in the earth. The Oivim should not be able to to burn it. So then, when Mashiach will come, there's going to come down a finished Beis HaMikdash, but we will add the Sha'orim, the gates, to the Beis HaMikdash. And whoever adds the gates to the Beis HaMikdash, he is the one that's considered that built the entire Beis HaMikdash. So we're going to be happy with the Binyan Beis HaMikdash. That's what we're saying by Davening. V'har'einu bevinyona. Rebbeinu Shalom, show us with a finished product of Binyan Beis HaMikdash. The question is, how will we be Mekayim and Mitzvah for Binyan Beis HaMikdash? V'savcheinu betikunoi. By this that will add, will be Masakim the Dalsas Beis HaMikdash, and that way we will be happy that we have a chelik in the Binyan Beis HaMikdash. Moira v'Rabbi, if we may add al gewaltige chiddush, al moira de chiddush, that with this we can explain the Medrash says in Parshas Nusa, Medrash Rabbah, b'chol mukim she'odam yobe v'noisum nafshal adover ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu metapeach zchora. If somebody does something a mitzvah with Mesiras Nefesh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays him schar, and he says, and it's called on his name. He said, you want the proof? The Medrash says, Shloime bono Beis HaMikdash. Shloime melech built the Beis HaMikdash. Shenemar vayiven Shloime sabayis vaychaleu. We finished the Beis HaMikdash. Ubishvil shenosem David nafshoi al Beis HaMikdash shenivne. Because David HaMelech was Moser Nefesh. He says, if I won't sleep until I find a place to build the Beis HaMikdash. Sheneim es choyer Hashem leDavid es kol unusoi. Imo be'oil beisi met nishnos le'inei lefapei tenuma. Ad emtza mokom l'Hashem mishkan es labir Yaakov. Loi kipech HaKadosh Baruch Hu s'choroi. Eilu hichtivoi al shemoi. Mizmor shir Chanukah sabayis leDavid. L'shloime ein ksiv kan. Eilu leDavid. Havei noitzer ta'enoi yoichel perioi. The Beis HaMikdash is called in the name of David because he was Moser Nefesh. So Moira v'Rabbi, we're saying every day this Mizmor Shir Chanikas Habayis LeDavid, that the Beis HaMikdash is called on the name of David HaMelech. And I can't help sharing with you that I hope you're gonna have it you're gonna have it in mind tomorrow morning too. So what do we say? Mizmor Shir Chanikas Habayis LeDavid. David HaMelech didn't see the finished Beis HaMikdash. What did he say? Mizmor Shir Chanikas Habayis LeDavid. So Rashi says that he prepared it for the Chanikas Habayis LeDavid. There are who say that he prepared it for Chanikas Habayis of the Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi. And we're saying that let's take a look that he's talking about the Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi. The Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi, who will bring the Geulah about? Mashiach ben David. The Zohar HaKodesh says, David HaMelech atzmoi yeh Mashiach. Im in Chiyeh shemoi David, im in Meisi David shemoi. David HaMelech beinenu serena machasayir al yedei David Mashiach tzidkecha. David HaMelech himself is going to be Mashiach. So David HaMelech saw that HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped him at least to build the doors. And he also saw Baruch HaKodesh that even the Beis HaMikdash will be Churav Moira v'Rabbi and is going to be burned. But the doors are going to stay in order to be Mekayim and Mitzvah for the big Beis HaMikdash. So, Zog David HaMelech, Mizmor Shir Chanikas Habayis LeDavid, he prepared a Mizmor Shir that we will sing on the Chanikas Habayis B'meira B'yameinu all together. Litvikis, with Chasidim, with Machen Aliyas, at Knacken. Everybody's going to enjoy it. Mizmor Shir Chanikas Habayis LeDavid. What does David HaMelech say? Aroi Mincho Hashem. I'm thanking you, Hashem. Ki dilisonu. Dilisonu means you pick me up. Why do you say dilisonu? Dilisonu is a lotion from Delis. That you pick me up by giving me the dalsois of the heichel. Veloi simachto oivai li. The oivim that burned under the Hamikdash, they couldn't be happy about my shorim because they couldn't touch it. And there he mentions Hashem Elisa Mishoel Nafsi. You will have Chiyas HaMeitzarim, Chiyasana Miyad Diboyer, Zamril Hashem Chasidah. This is the Shevach V'Hoidoah on the Binyan Beis HaMikdash. And I want to add, that with this we can understand from the Kasha from the Orach Laner. The Orach Laner in Sukkot of Namala, on the Rashi and Tosfos that we learned, that Rashi Tosfos said that the Hamikdash Ashlishi will come down a finished product. Break the Orach Laner, others is Soiser a offene Gemorre in Sukkot of Nun Beis of Bein. The Gemara says, "Vayareinu Hashem arbo choroshim." Choroshim, HaKadosh Baruch, the Navi says, HaKadosh Baruch showed me the 4 omanim, builders. The Gemara says, "Man, nini arbo choroshim." Who are they? Omar Akonim bar Bizna, Omar Shimon Chasida, Moshiach ben David, Omar Mashiach ben Yosef, ve'Eliyui beKohen Tzedek. Torashi explains Charushim, omanim. Mumchim that are able to build. Rashi says, why are Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef? What is their omanim? Shnei Choroshim lebinyan Beis HaMikdash. They will build the Beis HaMikdash. Fragt Rashi, how? Fragt the Orach Laner, how can Rashi be soiser a few dafim before that? Memalav Amadalav, that the Beis HaMikdash is going to build with a Shamayim. Over here, the Gemara said that the Mashiach will build the Beis HaMikdash. And for the Orach Laner, he says that the Beis HaMikdash will be built by Mashiach Tzidkenu. And the Rambam also says in Hilchos Beis HaMikdash, Hilchos Malochem Perik Yud Aleph Halacha Aleph, HaMelech HaMoshiach Osid Lamoid Ulahachzil Malchus David LeYoshno LeMemshele HaRushoyne Uboyne Beis HaMikdash Umekabetz Nitche Yisroel. So the Rambam says Beferish Uboyne HaMikdash. How does that fit with the Medrash and with Rashi and Tosfos? Otherwise, we can't explain the Gemara. So says the Orach Laner, the pshat is that Melech HaMoshiach will build the Beis HaMikdash b'dei Adam. We're all going to help him build the Beis HaMikdash. But how will we know that the Beis HaMikdash is the right Beis HaMikdash, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is masking to this Beis HaMikdash? After the building will be built, the Gashmis Dike building, a fire Dike Beis HaMikdash Shel Eish will come down Bune Meshichlal and will go into the Beis HaMikdash like an neshama that enters the body, like an neshama that enters in the Beis HaMikdash. In the Mele is for the stira that the building from the Beis HaMikdash will be built a few days before Pesach. I'm going back to the Sukkah Memala. But it doesn't have the Kedushas Beis HaMikdash until the Beis HaMikdash Shel Eish Shel Mala comes down Milamala, and this Beis HaMikdash Shel Mala is Doiche Yontev because it comes down finished. It's only a Rachmus Dike Neshama in the Beis HaMikdash. And therefore the kasha is for how we will be Mekayim with successor from the Beis HaMikdash. But if we add that it's Shia like this thing, we can for the kasha in a different way. The Beis HaMikdash will be built b'dei Shamayim. This the Gemara says that Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef are Shnei HaCharoshim. because they will add the gates. It's not such a simple job. They will add the gates to the Hamikdash, and with this finish the mitzvah esef from being in the Hamikdash. I will say one more finish about the mitzvah esef from being in the Hamikdash. The Zera Kodesh is a Hasidic word, but it's a word that everybody can connect to it, and everybody should connect to it. Nowadays, Hamikdash was part of Simas Chinam. Now we're all learning together, love each other, like this year of time bris. Says Alf Ahili Torah in the in Gan Eden, they're all enjoying together, learning the Torah. The Zera Kodesh says, Amoyre de Kazach, how will the third Beis Hamikdash be built? It's being built every day. By you brothers taking off time, sitting by the computer and listening to the Torah another hour and another hour. These learning, these words, they are called in Sefer Yitzira Avonim, stones that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is building with them, the Beis Hamikdash Shel Ma'ala. The davening that we're davening every day, the emunah that we're having every day. These are the stones, the bricks that HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses them to build the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi Sheyibona B'mehera B'yameinu. And he explains that that's what we're davening in Shemoneh Esrei. Ivnei Oiso Bekoroi B'yameinu Binyan Oilam, Ribono Shel Olam. Please build the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi B'yameinu, with the days that we're spending with learning, with davening 3 times a day. With those words, holy words, you should be born of the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. I think that is the reason that 3 times a day after we finish Tefillah Shemoneh Esrei, we are saying, Yirotza Mifanecho Hashem Elokeinu V'Leiteya V'Seinu Sheyibona Beis Hamikdash B'mehera B'yameinu V'Seichel Keila B'Seresechel. Why after davening? It's understood because davening Tefillah is b'mokam Tmidim Sidram. So we're asking Ribono Shel Olam, we should have the Beis Hamikdash and be able to mark the Korbanos itself. But according to the Zera Kodesh, the Heilige Rav said the pshat is that we're davening and we're being makabel. We're asking Hashavenu Avinu V'Saresechu Ata Final Odam Das. So Ribono Shel Olam Yirotza Sheyibona Beis Hamikdash. Take all these words, all these tefillahs, and use them as the stones to build the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. So yes, Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi Yered min hashamayim banu umeshuchlel, but we will be mekayim the mitzvah esef binyan Beis Hamikdash, because by learning Torah, because by davening, we are building the Beis Hamikdash, and this fits in so beautiful with what we began with the Gemara and Tanos Daf Lamed Amud Beis. Kol ha'misabel al Yerushalayim zoiche v'roye b'simchosoi. What means kol ha'misabel Yerushalayim? Is mourning like I'm azoir upon him? Yes, I'm not mezalzel. It's very easy to say it. I'm mourning on Yerushalayim. Mourning on Yerushalayim means that I'm misyageya b'toire, I'm misyageya in Rambam, I'm misyageya in Arogichover, I'm misyageya in Reb Chaim, I'm misyageya in Chazon Ish, because that's what's missing in the Beis Hamikdash, that we need to HaRav and to learn and to be misalmik. This is Zoiche V'roye B'simchosai, because we are building the Beis Hamikdash with the learning, with the davening. And so I want to mention again, people are sad, are crying, they're going through hard times, and our chelik is that this learning should be lischutzam, that all should be found and to be brought to Kever Yisrael, and we should be mispalal and remember that the Ribono Shel Olam is also davening with us 3 times a day for the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. So let's try to apply to be bechlal we the Yirei Hashem who are Meitzer v'Doyik and the Chorban B'Samikdash. I want to thank you, Moira V'Rabbaisai, for giving me the opportunity to participate in this year, special to Europe Shloime, to have a chelik in the Torah, so that I be helfen in this Chus von Limit der Torah, so man solche sein, with the Rechaim HaKodesh and Parshas Tetzaveh, as the Golas HaRavi, it will go out from the Geul, from Golas to the Geula, only b'schus Limit der Torah, ve'ein Moshe chofetz legal ama batlonim in a Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't want to come legal to be goyel. Habatlonim that are learn. We can all say with a full mouth, Rabbeinu Shalom, Moshe Rabbeinu, it's time you should come legal. Who oiskim b'Torah. It's not Batlonim and a Torah, Rabbeinu Shalom. Give a cook from one egg welt to the other. In every corner, in every Bisam Medrash, Balabatim and Poshet Yidin and Talmid Chachamim are learning. It's time, Moshe Rabbeinu, that you should come legal she'einam batlonim in a Torah, no she'oskim b'Torah. We should be zoiche to the gula shleima bebeheira beyameinu. Amen.